Hi, everyone, and welcome to Practice Growth HQ. Now, today we're going to talk about the mindset for growth. It's like as we go in our business journey, on the one hand, we want to have strategies for growth, but a key part of that is the mindset for growth. And the ideal person to talk about that is my guest, Naima Spencer. Now, Naima is a mindset facilitator and life coach who helps people transform their lives by overcoming limiting beliefs. But her background is quite unusual. She moved to the US from Morocco. She started in minimum wage jobs and ended up working as a CIA officer. And now she uses her experience to help others achieve their goals. All the way from Northern Virginia, welcome, Naima.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
All right, Naima, we'd like to start with a fast five, quicker questions, quicker answers, so people can get to know you quickly. Question one, where did you grow up?
Like you just mentioned, I grew up in Morocco. I moved to the States in 1998, and I basically had my bachelor's degree in Morocco, started a job in banking, and then I decided to leave all of that behind, pursue the American dream.
Uh-huh. There you go. There you go. Question two, favorite book besides your own?
My favorite book is Think and Grow Rich by
Yeah,
Napoleon Hill.
yeah, good one. All right. Question three, what's one of your superpowers?
I believe that it's now my ability to manage my thoughts and to manage my inner dialogue, even in the most stressful situations.
Okay, all right. It's helpful for all of us because being in business can be quite stressful. Question four, something you wish your 20-year-old self knew.
Don't believe everything you think. They're just thoughts.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't think anyone's ever said that before. And question five, something that you're grateful for.
I'm so grateful for my journey. I'm so grateful for all the challenges that I've been through because that's exactly what made me the person that I am today.
Yeah, that's very helpful. All right. So, our topic for today is the mindset for growth. The listeners are on this podcast because they want to grow their practice. And some of our interviews are much more kind of tactical about the kinds of things they should be doing, leadership, staffing, marketing, etc. But one of the ones that is critical in that process, of course, is mindset as well. Tell us why that's an issue for people.
Mindset is everything, in my opinion. And many people don't pay attention to mindset. Everybody is going after the latest strategy and what is the quickest thing to get to my goals and to achieve what I want, but they completely neglect mindset. And mindset is key because that's how you perceive everything that surrounds you. Your mindset determines whether you win or lose because it's a battle. And everything, victory and defeat starts in the mind.
Mm.
So we have to really pay a lot of attention to mindset, to how we think, to our inner dialogue, to how we talk to ourselves in moments of challenges when we're faced with a challenge. Are we focused on possibilities or are we focused on why something is not working or why something cannot work and will not work for us? And I'm sure you've heard of the phrase success is 80% mindset, 20% strategy. But many entrepreneurs, many business owners, they focus on the 20%, the strategy, and neglect the 80%, which is mindset.
Okay, that's a pretty significant chunk because as a business owner, there are lots of things for us to do. And that phrase that it's 80% mindset, and I'm not saying I disagree with you, that 80% mindset, that's a big chunk. Can you just give us some examples of why, I suppose, turning around mindset can make such a big difference?
Because how we perceive things, they determine how we act. So the main point is our beliefs. We all have beliefs that we developed since we were little kids. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. And that's when we talk about limiting beliefs. And the beliefs that we have, they determine the thoughts that we have in every situation. Whatever you believe is going to produce thoughts that are in perfect correlation with the belief that you have about that situation, about that experience. And then your thoughts, they lead to feelings. So Gandhi said this great quote. He said, "A man is but a product of his thoughts. What he
Mm,
thinks, he becomes."
mm,
And the becoming here is the feeling. It's the embodiment of that thought. If you think about it, we have an angry thought and then we become angry. We
mm,
have a happy thought and then we become happy. And then feelings, if you look at what happens after feelings, they always lead to some type of action. And sometimes that action is inaction. If we're feeling, for example, if we have a limiting belief, I'm not good enough, automatically we're not going to be able to take action on certain things, whether approaching someone to ask for help or asking someone on a date or asking for a promotion or because we don't feel that we measure up. So that limiting belief is preventing us from taking action in this particular example. And then the action or lack of, that's what determines the results that we have in life. And then the results that we have in life, if you look at it, they always reinforce the limiting belief that we have. We don't take action, we don't get the results, and then we look, well, see, I'm not good enough. I knew it's not going to work out for me. But
right.
it's all, and we get caught up in this cybernetic loop, but it's all because it started with that limited belief.
So
Yeah.
how do we form the limiting beliefs and how do we get over those?
So limiting beliefs, they're just decisions that we made in certain situations and experiences that we've been through. For example, we get cheated on, someone cheats on us, and we think that we're not good enough. Or someone betrays our trust and we think, oh, I can't trust people. And then we start operating based on that limiting belief that I can't trust people. And we generalize because that's what the brain does. The brain,
Mhm.
it generalizes, it distorts. So we start based on that belief, and then everything else basically is a result of what we have. But how do we break from that? The first thing is self awareness. We have to become aware of our thoughts. We have to take a step back and basically evaluate how we think and evaluate how we talk to ourselves. How many times you hear a lot of people, they're after the latest things to improve our health and our bodies, and but how many times we stop to consider the thoughts we think? Many people don't do that.
Mm.
We care so much about our body and our health, but we don't care about what goes on up here in our mind.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm thinking about a few things as you're talking there, Naima. I was talking to someone yesterday who I've got some business dealings with, and he said out loud, and I don't think it was just a defensive strategy. He said out loud, "Yeah, this is just more evidence of things going wrong for me." And I thought to myself at the time, we've talked on the podcast before about this part of the brain called the reticular activating system, about the size of an almond that's a filter, basically. And as I like to say, pretty much if you want to look, if you've got a belief that such and such a thing is true, the RAS will help you find it. Like if you believe there's a lot wrong with the world, then the RAS will go, oh, here's evidence to support the belief. If you've got a belief that there's a lot right with the world, then again the RAS will find and go, look, that's amazing. That person let me in traffic, or they gave me a nice tip,
Yeah.
or whatever the case was. So it's these things can be quite self-perpetuating. I just wondered, Naima, for the listeners, they're like, okay, this is interesting. I think my mindset's pretty good. I've worked my way through university. I've got a healthcare degree. I've got my own practice now. That's evidence that things are going well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's evidence that things are going well. And like I tell my clients, when we do one of the steps I start with my clients is to do an evaluation of the different areas of your life. And like I say, if you tell me that your career, for example, you're at a 10, I'm going to ask you, what does a 13 or a 14 look like?
Mm,
Why not? There is always room for improvement. There is always the next level. If things are working out for you right now, there's always better. So why not strive for something that's even better than where you are? But then a lot of times Again, like you said, it depends on what you are focusing on because what you focus on is what you feed. If you're focusing on something good, if you think you're happy with the results that you got, that's good. But what is the next level? And have you ever stopped to look at the other areas of your life? Because not too many people do that. And I remember, and until I was exposed to that situation where someone asked me to sit down and think about all the different areas of my life, I couldn't even name them, to be honest. But I had to look at that and go, oh, when was the last time I tried to evaluate my relationships area?
Mm.
We all focused on career, finances, but we don't think about other areas like our health, our social life, our family. Are we happy with the results that we have? But we don't think about that.
Mm. And again, just to push back, so the listeners go, finance is going well, I'm well paid, and the business is going pretty well. What's the impact of not considering these other aspects of our lives?
They play a huge impact because our life is the sum of all the different areas of our life. If your finances are great and your career is great, and your relationship area is not, you will not feel fulfilled. That's a fact. You will feel that something is missing. And that's the reason why a lot of times that, you know, when we don't pay attention to those things, we have what we call the inner conflict, and we don't pay attention to it. I may not be focused on my relationships, but deep down, I'm probably thinking, well, I want more friends, but I don't have more friends. Or if someone is not happy with their finances, I want to make more money, but I don't know how. And sometimes those things are happening subconsciously. We're not even aware of them. They're just working in the background, but we feel the impacts of having those thoughts, even if we're not aware of them. And the feeling is that we feel tired and we feel just exhausted. We feel that something is missing. We wake up and we have anxiety or we feel depressed. And all people do is they try to mask the symptoms instead of digging deeper and trying to figure out where is this coming from? Why do I open my eyes in the morning and the first thing I feel is anxiety? What's
Mm.
going on? But instead of trying to figure it out, we just take a pill.
Oh, indeed. So for people who come and work with you, what are some of the more common issues that you would see? We'll pick particularly on business owners. What are the more common issues you'd see?
A couple of things. One is not good enough.
Okay.
A lot of people that I work with, they have this underlying narrative that they don't measure up. And this, in my opinion, it stems from fear. So we have fear of rejection, we have fear of failure. Some people have fear of success, believe it or not, which
Mm.
is, I find it's crazy, but people do because they think that if they hit a certain level, they're going to lose certain people in their life. And it's a fact. People have concerns about that. And sometimes they're not really aware of it or they're not conscious of that thought, of those thought habits, but they end up sabotaging themselves because of that. So until we bring that to the forefront and deal with it, they're going to keep sabotaging themselves.
Mm.
Another one that I feel, especially with business owners, there's never enough time.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel that they're just racing against the clock all day long. But the thing is, the moment you have that belief, that's what you're going to see. So
Okay.
the remedy is to change the belief because we all have the exact supply of time. Everyone does. And that supply gets renewed every 24 hours. But a lot of people feel that there is not enough time, but they get stuck in that cybernetic loop. And they won't come out of that until they change their belief about time.
Okay, that's an interesting one. I must admit, people say to me things like, "Oh, I don't have time." And my usual response is, time is not your issue. Your issue is priority. As I say, certainly in a business context, it's Jeff Bezos who's got the same 24 hours that the rest of us do. And at, vari-
Exactly.
at various points, he's been the richest man in the world, et cetera, et cetera. I would say the never enough time is probably the one. I'm not denying that some of the listeners, if we dug deep enough, would there be that sort of not good enough. But I think, as I said, in a healthcare context, many of them have been at the top of their game, especially academically. You've got to be in the top few percent to get into the healthcare courses, and then you pass, etc. But I think the not never enough time is a really interesting one. I will admit to you, Naima, that I have this week come back from leave. I was on leave last week, and if I showed you my schedule, I have felt very much the last couple of days like there's just not enough time. I looked at my calendar this morning. My first activity today is interviewing you. Naima's in the US, I'm in Australia. And today my schedule is full from 8 a.m. until about 4 p.m. this afternoon with kind of minimal breaks. And so there is that sense of there's just not enough time. And yesterday was worse. What can I do in relation to my mindset to empower me through that rather than go, oh, golly gosh, here we are a day, back-to-back appointments the whole day?
Uh, Having appointments all day and saying that there is not enough time, I think they're two different things.
Okay.
You made those decisions to have those appointments in there. So the not enough time that I'm talking about is when they just feel like they're racing against the clock. So the reason why they have those beliefs, what I found was people think that there is so much to do and not enough time to do all of those things. And then if they don't get all of those things done, then something bad is going to happen. And then they get into overwhelm. And that's
Right.
what overwhelm comes from. So when we think there's not enough time and then we feel overwhelmed, there is the belief behind it. This is the reason why they feel overwhelmed, because they're thinking that if I don't get all of those things done, I'm going to fail. Things are going to fail. Something bad is going to happen. But it's not true. And one of the concepts that I love to teach to my clients is the corresponding nature of life. You do what you can do today and you leave the rest until tomorrow. It will be taken care of. Because if you don't get to do something today, guess what? It wasn't meant to be done today.
Mm.
That's what I want to believe. Because there's only so much time in the day to get certain things done. So if you don't get to it, it wasn't meant to be done today, because life is corresponding to every act, every action that we take. And it corresponds in a beautiful way. I believe that life is always working for me.
Mm.
Then
Ha-
I don't have to worry about things that I don't get to do today. Tomorrow they'll be taken care of. And that will bring that peace and that clarity into my life, because that's ultimately what I want.
Yeah, I would say that's what we all want. I guess what I'm wondering then, because these beliefs can be pretty deep rooted. The reality is that I suppose with enough navel gazing, we could figure out that why do I have this belief? And I suppose what happens is you track it back to something that happened when you're a child or whatever, and it's had a deep impact with you, and presumably you've developed some pretty well-worn neural pathways that
Mhm.
support that whole process, and that takes some time to undo. It's all very well for all of us to go, okay, that's good, thanks. I listened to Naima's podcast, and she said that there is enough time and that life's serving me. Great, all right, I believe that. I've sent that lab done, but I suspect the truth is nothing like that.
Absolutely. It's nothing like that. It takes time to rewire the brain, to deactivate the old beliefs and literally install new beliefs and form new synaptic connections in the brain. It took time to put that belief together and install it in the brain, because a belief is what? It's just a thought that we keep thinking over and over until it becomes a belief.
Mm.
If you think something that's not supporting you and you think it twice and you let go of it, it doesn't control you. It's not a belief. But
Mm.
the moment you keep thinking it over and over, that's it. Now you're using that to judge other situations and experiences in your life. So to deactivate that is the same way. And the tool that I use with my clients is called the decision matrix. So we have to, once we figure out what the limiting belief is, we have to come out with a new empowering decision, because beliefs are decisions.
Okay.
You may not know how to change and transform a limiting belief, but you know how to make decisions. And a belief is just a decision that you made at a particular situation or experience you went through. So once we figure out what that is, we come up with a new empowering decision, something that supports us. And then we have to look for evidence. That's very important, because
Mm.
you're not going to believe something if you don't look for evidence for it in your life. And sometimes we have to borrow someone else's evidence in their own life. If a friend of mine started a business and it worked out, and I want to start a business, I don't feel that I can do it, I can just look at someone else's life and go, if it worked for them, if they were able to do it, so can I. I can do it as well. And
Mm.
use that evidence to support my new empowering decision. And the work is basically to look at that and repeat it and catch yourself when you find yourself thinking about that old limiting belief, and you replace it. If I'm in a situation where I'm thinking, oh, I don't think I can do this. No, this is not for me. I don't think I can. I have to catch myself at that moment. That's the only way to begin to deactivate that old limiting belief. And then state the new empowering decision that I can, that 2 weeks ago or a month ago, I was able to do this or I was able to do that, and literally talk to myself during that process. And the more you do that, the easier it becomes to install the new empowering belief. And that's how basically you transform your limiting beliefs.
So, if we stick with this one, there's not enough time, what would be the kind of transforming belief that you could insert instead?
But the not enough time, what I believe is I can only do what I need to do, what needs to be done today, and the rest will be taken care of tomorrow, because I know that life is always working out for me.
Okay.
And just look at the difference when you think, oh, there's not enough time, or when you think, it's okay. Whatever I don't get done today, it will be taken care of tomorrow. It wasn't meant to be done today.
Mm.
And that just brings such a relief when you realize it. And I know sometimes if you have so many things scheduled, you have to do them today. But the thing is to get better at managing your schedule as well, so that you don't get to a situation where you start to feel overwhelmed and you can't help yourself but feel overwhelmed because your entire 8 or 10 hours are booked back to back. So balance is key also in those situations.
So, I want to continue just thinking about. So, I've made this decision now that life works for me, and that and it's okay. I can only get done today what I can get done today. And that was what was meant to be. And then the other things they can carry over to tomorrow. What are the sort of things that I should be, as I'm training my brain to have this new belief, what are some examples of things that I should be looking for to go, see, there's evidence that's working. There's evidence that's working. There's evidence that my new belief is supporting me.
You can think of certain experiences where you thought that you needed to do something today, or the world is going to end. I have to get this done today. And something happened and you didn't. And then you woke up the next day and things were fine. You're still alive. Nothing happened.
Mm.
You're here. Everything is still working out. And I just remember, I'll give you a quick example. One time, like when I do my food shopping, I go to the two different places where I pick up a few things from this place and a few things from this place. And that particular weekend, I didn't get a chance to go to the second place. And the whole weekend, I was like, I need to get to Wegmans. I need to get to Wegmans. And I was getting so worked up that I didn't get to go to this other place. And then I forgot about it and I didn't go. And I spent the whole week, and I thought, look at that. Nothing happened. I didn't die. I had plenty of food. Everything is fine. But during that whole weekend, I was racing against the clock, thinking, oh, I need to get few things from that place. I need to do that. And I didn't, and nothing happened. And we live those experiences all the time. We made certain things so bigger than what they are in our mind. And even when we don't get to do them, really, nothing happened. We're still here.
Yeah.
The world didn't fall apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a fascinating topic, Naima. I would, listeners, if you found yourself at any point going, what's this got to do with business? I have to say, frankly, this has got everything to do with business because how you show up, your views about time and your self-worth and these other things will determine which part of you bring. If your beliefs, and this is for all of us, this is a work in progress. But if you come into the office each day and you believe that you're going to have a great day and that you're going to serve people and that you're a very creative and energetic person, then the kind of stuff that you need to be able to do in business, it will just show up and you go, and it's almost like it's consistent with your belief system. Yeah, I am. I'm good at being creative. I'm good at doing this stuff. And there's evidence of it. On the other hand, if your belief system is more, I'm not good enough, then you, as it were, you won't go to the cupboards where all of that creativity, etc., is, and you'll leave that door closed and go, "Oh no, I'm not very this," and so you just leave it there, even though it's there all along. So it's quite an interesting one. Now, Emma, unfortunately, we've run out of time. For people who are interested in learning more about you or getting in touch, what should they do?
My website, naimaspencer.com. I have all the information about me. You can schedule a discovery call. I'm here to help.
Absolutely. So Naima, that is Naima, Spencer, which is, I think there's only one way to spell Spencer.com. All right, Naima, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone, we've covered a bit there, haven't we? And as I say every week, it's not knowledge that's power, it's applied knowledge that's power, dare I say. That's what we've been talking about in the podcast. So my question to you from this interview is simply this. What's one thing you can do as a result of what you heard? Go and do that before you go on to the next thing. Finally, if you got some value from our time together today, then I'd really appreciate if you head to where you heard this interview and leave us a lovely review to give us the encouragement to bring you more great content every week on Practice Growth HQ.